Hayabusa, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Ninja Gaiden franchise has been both reviled and revered for its punishing difficulty and uncompromising brutality. It's been shepherded by the enigmatic Tomonobu Itagaki since its inception, and Ninja Gaiden 3 represents the first installment without his guidance. Can Team Ninja create a modern action game that doesn't alienate fans?
You have 7 days. Exactly the number of days it took God to create the world.
Who are you?
An alchemist. Born again in the here and now.
Despite few ties to prior games, the story in Ninja Gaiden 3 still manages to be just as off-the-wall and convoluted. It starts with a terrorist attack in London by a shadow corporation called the Lords of Alchemy, and by the final act, human cloning and DNA are somehow dragged into the fray. Ryu is regularly unmasked, and Team Ninja tries to show a more human side to the killing machine. His thousands of past murders are brought to bear, and we admire the attempt at something with a little more depth.
Open your eyes, Ryu Hayabusa.
Yet it's undermined by double crosses you see coming, and one implausible situation after another.
Impressive. Crazy, but impressive.
The bad guys seem to have no clear agenda, and making Ryu seem more human zaps him of his mystique.
Hello, Kana. My name is Ryu. That means dragon.
Kana, don't be so rude.
It has infested your entire body.
How do I get rid of it?
It doesn't take long to discover the big changes in Ninja Gaiden 3's design. A once-branching tree has been pruned down to a trunk. Where you used to have a collection of weapons to master and upgrade, now you fight with static swords, a bow, and shurikens. While not all the weapons in past games were timeless, some of them ultimately became our blunt instruments of choice. Here, you have no choice.
Don't worry about it.
The level design has remained mostly unchanged. Caves and corridors give way to open areas for epic battles with scores of ruthless enemies. Getting lost is tough, and even if you do get spun around, you can click the right stick to light the path. With no branching paths or hidden secrets to find, you essentially go from one swarming battle after another connected by simple platforming sections. Boss fights are sprinkled in, and while they fail to reach the splendor of prior games, they still leave a lasting impression.
I see you like fighting Watchdog.
For the first time ever, a Ninja Gaiden game has online multiplayer, and there are 2 options to choose from. Ninja Trials is an action take on Horde as you and a friend attempt to survive waves of foes. Clan Battle is online team deathmatch for up to 8 players. The cooperative trials give you a finite number of lives and the ability to revive teammates. With just 10 missions to work through though, it won't keep your interest long, and there's no real twist to it. Competitive online starts out slowly, but you're able to level up your ninja into a powerhouse with a full complement of attacks and custom gear. It can be a little too hectic and random at times, and there's not much of an opportunity to utilize your ninja's full moveset. Yet it's also oddly addictive, and the moments where you square off with 1 or 2 players at a time really shine. While the arm-powered attacks are removed, you can still unleash ninpo magic and latency is minimal. The multiplayer in Ninja Gaiden 3 isn't going to light up your friends list over the long haul, but it braces a campaign that lasts around 10 hours.
Remember, I'll be watching your back.
The series is known for razor-sharp melee combat and hypersensitive controller response. That hasn't changed here. The connection between the player's hands and Ryu's sword is immediate as the massive ninja jumps, dives, drops, chops, and slices his way through throngs of thugs. Yet much like the game's design, the combat's been simplified. With no move list to consult, it's up to you to mix quick and strong attacks with jumping and analog stick movements to unearth the more eye-searing flourishes. But with a moderate difficulty level, there's very little incentive to do so. Most will end up spamming the same executions and combos over and over again. Things can go on autopilot at times, and we've managed to clear entire rooms of enemies without even looking at the screen.
Something I need to finish first.
Simplifications have come in other areas as well. Essence orbs have been excised, so that means no currency, no chests to open, and a new health system. Featuring a rebounding life bar, your only goal is to complete each skirmish without dying. While the old save system returns, checkpoints are a lot more plentiful. Ninpo magic has also been reworked. As you deal and take punishment, a meter builds that allows you to unleash a powerful room-clearing spell. And that's singular, because you only ever have one throughout the entire game.
What have you done? You're late, Mr. Scary Ninja.
Early on, Ryu's arm absorbs the dragon sword and it becomes cursed. This has its ups and downs. Sometimes it will make him sick and send things into slow motion. Other times it powers Ryu's attacks to a point where you can clear a handful of enemies with one button press. The whole mechanic comes off as a shallow replacement for the obliteration techniques found in prior games.
So, how does it feel to suffer as all of your victims?
It's obvious that Team Ninja has been playing a lot of Ninja Gaiden's contemporaries. Nowhere is this more evident than in the deluge of QuickTime events scattered throughout the game. Whether you're soaring from a high perch, climbing a wall, finishing off an enemy, or fighting a boss the size of a skyscraper, there's a button that needs to be pressed before a hidden timer expires. They add nothing to the game, and the margin of error is far too generous. We've even pressed the wrong button without failing. Ninja Gaiden 3's gameplay could be a case of addition by subtraction, but this streamlined, more accessible approach discourages plumbing the depths of the combat. So much has been taken away and replaced with QuickTime events. Ironically, it makes it feel more modern, yet nowhere near as engrossing.
So this is what they were really after.
Once upon a time, Team Ninja was known as a developer that consistently pushed hardware to its limits. At this point, it's built an engine and it's sticking with it.
The technology represents something even the richest man can't buy.
Still well ahead of the curve, it's capable of pushing some crisp textures, stunning effects, and plenty of enemies while running at a blistering clip. Facial animation is also a bright spot, but the environments can lack complexity and variety. Like everything else in Ninja Gaiden 3, the violence has been toned down. There's still plenty of blood spray, but limb removal and decapitations have been cut.
Okay.
If it weren't woven into the gameplay strategy in prior games, we wouldn't have missed it. This trickles down to the women, who, save for one, have managed to transcend the ridiculous proportions Team Ninja is known for. Ryu's more chatty than in any prior game, but thankfully his voice actor has been well chosen. The same goes for the majority of the cast, as it does its best to save a script that has several moments that seem to have been lost in translation.
Don't let it go to your head.
The music trends towards metal and hard rock, but even if you're a fan, it's hard to recall any specific tracks that stand out.
Make sure you bring it back in one piece.
You were always fated to end in tragedy.
Love it or hate it, Ninja Gaiden has always been a uniquely unflinching experience. Ninja Gaiden 3 is its attempt to find some middle ground, and it loses some of its identity in the process. On its own merits, it's an impressive action game with invigorating combat and memorable set pieces. As the first game in the series since Itagaki's departure, it's kinder, gentler, lighter, and a little less interesting.
Why? Business, of course!